We've got a couple of developing storylines heating up in Green Bay that we got to talk about on today's show. Up first, we're talking about Romeo Doubs. And is he upset with Green Bay? Like most wide receivers do, he took to social media, posted some cryptic things. We're going to break it all down on today's show. Then after that, we're going to talk Trey Hendrickson and is the dream over? I hope it isn't, but it might be. The reason why we're talking about this is because training camp is here. Almost. In 2 days will be their first practice. Veterans report tomorrow. Rookies reported on Friday. And the question that comes from that, right? Now that training camp is getting so closer, does that mean that some trade rumors might be heating up? This feels like what would be the last time to really kind of make a big trade. So that way you get these guys in training camp, these new guys, if you do trade anybody, to get them some time to practice with the team, to get the schemes down, to know the coaches, know the players, know the franchise. So now that that deadline is approaching closer and closer, and we're just 2 days away from the first practice, could something happen very soon? Maybe. We're talking about it on today's show. Thanks so much for joining me. Make sure you guys are subscribed, though, okay? Because I looked at subs in July. Unfortunately, in the NFC North, we are dead last, having the worst month of all the other channels in the NFC North right here at Chat Sports. Vikings now at the top. Bears now in second with 521. Lions talk above us. Only 5 subs. But hey, I want to get out of last place, and I want to do it today, and I need your help. Do me one big favor, hit that subscribe button. Help us prove to everybody in the NFC North that we're not the worst fans. In fact, we're the best. Hit that subscribe button. All right, now let's talk about Romeo Doubs and what happened on social media yesterday. That might lead me to believe that he's upset with the Green Bay Packers and his current role at that wide receiver spot. He posted this story. It is Steph Curry on the bench, a very young Steph Curry, I might add, and looking out into space. Looking lost, looking upset, looking frustrated, looking checked out. And to me, when I see that picture posted, not by accident, on purpose, it feels, in my opinion, like he's trying to send some sort of a message. Whether that's to the front office, whether that's to Brian Gutekunst, whether it's to Jordan Love, I don't know who it's to, but it seems like it's purposeful, and it seems like it's to send a message to anybody in Green Bay. Now, why would he want to send a message, Joey? Well, you look at the Packers wide receiver room, and one thing you notice is it is crowded. Much more crowded than it was last season. So Romeo Doubs goes into this year, and in my opinion, he's got a couple of reasons of why he could possibly be upset with his current positioning in this roster, his current positioning in this depth chart, and his future with the Green Bay Packers. Okay, number one, in my opinion, he knows he's not the number one option, okay? And I'm not just saying that he knows that probably, but remember what came out in May when Brian Gutekunst met with Jaden Reed's agent after the draft? Because they wanted to clarify the wide receiver status in Green Bay after the team drafted Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. And then the team said it will not affect Reed's status as its top receiver. So that was reported in May, that Jaden Reed is this team's top receiver. And then that doesn't even mention the draft, because that takes me to number 2. The Packers drafted not only 1 wide receiver, but 2. And not only 2 wide receivers in the whole draft, 2 wide receivers in the top 3 rounds. Matthew Golden, of course, in the first round, the wide receiver out of Texas. And then Savion Williams in the 3rd round. Just 2 rounds later. They feel like they needed help at that position. And they feel like they might need those guys in the future, because that brings me to my 3rd point. It is a contract year for Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs might not be a Green Bay Packer at the end of the season, regardless if a trade happens or not, because they might not re-sign him. If they feel like they have enough talent in that room, they won't re-sign him, because they got a lot of really good free agents in 2026. So you can kind of see why he might be frustrated. Now, would either of us take to social media about it? Probably not. If I'm upset with anything my boss is doing at work, I don't go post Instagram stories of Steph Curry looking pissed on the bench. No, because we handle things differently, right? I handle things differently. And this was a worry specifically with Romeo Doubs since the draft took place, right? Since April 24th happened and Matthew Golden landed in Green Bay, was already in Green Bay, went out on stage, everybody thought, you know what? With his history, he might not like this. He might kind of turn into a little bit of a loose cannon. However, everything he showed us prior to this Instagram story of him talking to Sam Brown Jr., a guy who's not even going to make this final roster during OTAs, of him coaching up Matthew Golden before Matt LaFleur could even get to him, all these things kind of led us to believe, hey, maybe he's past this. Maybe he's looking at this in a mature lens, in a team lens. Maybe he's taking everything in stride. Well, after that story, I don't necessarily think that's the case. Be honest with me down below. You heard what I think it means. What do you think this Instagram story means? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. The floor is open for you guys to let me know how you feel. Just be honest with me down in the comment section. I'd still be shocked, if I'm being honest, if anything happens soon. Like, I'd be shocked if anything happens over the next couple of days, even over the next couple of weeks or months. I still believe that if he does get traded, it's going to be at the deadline. That's always made the most sense for me for Romeo Doubs, because everything that Matt LaFleur has said over this offseason, everything Brian Gutekunst has said over this offseason is that they like where they're at. They like the guys they have. They like the amount of talent that they have on this roster at the wide receiver position, because they went into the season last year not having that talent. There are 3 teams you need to watch out for, though. 3 teams we talked about a lot. Number 1, the top team, in my opinion, that would trade for Romeo Doubs is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 2, the New England Patriots. And number 3, the New York Jets. Okay? But let's talk Steelers, because it still feels like they're probably the most likely to make this move happen, and for multiple reasons. Number 1, when you look at their wide receiver room, when you look at the guys that Aaron Rodgers has to throw the ball to, and I get it, Jonnu Smith is a tight end, but they got a lot of really good tight ends and a lot of bigger tight ends that are more, well-rounded and not just pass-catching options. I do think Jonnu's going to play in the slot a lot. But they got DK Metcalf, who's great. But then Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, Robert Woods, that is not a good enough unit for them to win a championship, okay? And we've seen teams cater to Aaron Rodgers before. Just look at what the Jets did after they brought in Aaron Rodgers in 2023. They signed Allen Lazard. They signed Randall Cobb. They hired Nathaniel Hackett. He likes to be surrounded by guys he's played with in the past. And then the next season, they traded for Devontae Adams. So now that he lands in Pittsburgh, they need help in the wide receiver position. And we know he has a history of wanting to be surrounded by guys he's played with before. Why wouldn't they trade for Romeo Doubs if he believes, per his Instagram story, that he's on the outside looking in? What say you guys? You think Doubs will end 2025 as a Packer? Do you think that when the new year is over, Romeo Doubs is still on this roster? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Coming up next, we got the latest on Trey Hendrickson. It's not great news. If you wanted a trade to happen, I'm just going to tell you this right now. You might be a little bit disappointed. Regardless, though, stick with us and stick around for what I've got to say about it. Before that, though, shout out to Fanatics for sponsoring today's episode of the Packers Report. If you go to chatsorts.com/Packers t-shirt, you can get this Legend Icon t-shirt for only $16. How often can we find officially licensed gear for under $20? Almost never. It was $35. Now it's $16. You got to take advantage of this as quickly as you can. Chatsports.com/Packers t-shirt. That link's in the comments and description of today's video. Alrighty, I need to grab some water because this is an important point. Slick Rick Scoops, or Ricky Scoops, now that he's known as, tweeted out, trade day update. Sounds like the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson are working hard to get a new deal done, possibly as soon as today. Both sides are pushing to finalize an extension this afternoon. Almost there. And a big sigh was let out from all the Packers fans who wanted Brian Gutekunst to add an edge rusher. It's not just Ricky on Twitter. It's Ian Rapoport on the NFL Network as well. Excuse me. The Bengals have made several offers to Trey Hendrickson, including a recent one over the course of the last couple of days. And then if Rapoport, Slick Rick Scoops, if those guys were enough, how about you hear it from Mike Brown himself with the Cincinnati Bengals? We are not going to trade Trey. We're working on getting it done. We've been through a few, right? And he pushes hard. He gets emotional. We've never had an easy time of it, and if there's one thing that is consistent, it always gets done. I think this one will too. It really feels like right now, today, the nail went in the coffin of the Trey Hendrickson trade dreams, okay? The ones I've been talking about for months here on this channel, the ones y'all have been listening to for months here on this channel, it feels like it's over, and I am very frustrated by it, okay? Because you look at what he's been able to do over the last 2 seasons. I mean, 61 quarterback hits, 35 sacks. This dude's been an absolute monster. And it is a shame because I truly felt like he could be that missing piece. I felt really good about this roster at multiple different positions. Quarterback, wide receiver, offensive line, running back, linebacker core, the safety room, but the edge rushers. That's what I thought and what I felt was the missing piece, and Trey Hendrickson could have been that. Now I believe they should look to free agency because there's still some pretty good options out there, okay? I truly believe that, right? You got a lot of guys who have put up really, really good seasons in the National Football League, and of course, they're a little bit older, right? But that doesn't mean they can't give you some good reps at a rotational edge rusher position. Matthew Judon comes to mind, Preston Smith, possibly a reunion with him in Green Bay because you're not paying him that contract anymore. This one seems unlikely, Za'Darius Smith, just because how it ended, but I went ahead and threw him on here. Jadeveon Clowney and Kyzir White, who's more of an outside linebacker, but Jadeveon Clowney, I feel like he could be a really good option. All of those are really good options. There still are good options if you're not going to trade for anybody. We all know TJ Watt got that new contract. He's out of the window. Trey Hendrickson, he's about to get a new contract. He's about to be out of the window. Nobody is left to trade for in the edge rusher position, in my opinion, so Clowney is the best option. And I know what you think, and I know what you're feeling when I say that. You're probably thinking, Joey, he's a bust. Like, what are you talking about? Jadeveon Clowney is not going to make this team better. I totally disagree. Because last year, he played on one of the worst defenses in football and still almost got 6 sacks with 11 quarterback hits, 46 tackles in 14 games. Again, playing for the Panthers. And he is only 1 season removed from a wonderful year in Baltimore, his best year yet. 43 tackles, 9.5 sacks, almost 20 quarterback hits. So he can still play, okay? And if he gets a chance to play in this defense with Jeff Hafley, I think he can make it a whole lot better. It's your turn. Name an edge rusher you think the Packers should sign. Let me know in the comment section down below. And text, we can just go to subscribe after this. Just subscribe, all 3, no worries. Appreciate you guys for tuning into today's video. If you haven't yet, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We do this thing daily. Only cover Green Bay, nothing else but the Packers right here on the Packers Report. So if you subscribe, we'll see you next time.